Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Ocrolus Product Pulse. Today, we're excited to share our latest product release for small business lenders utilizing our dashboard, as well as enhancements to our API. If you have any questions throughout the session, please put them in the Q&A module in Zoom, and we'll be happy to address those at the end. My name is Craig McKeon from the Ocrolus Product Marketing Team, and I'm joined today by Nike Patterson, Director of Product at Ocrolus.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
Excellent. To take you through what we'll cover today, we'll start off with some context around cash flow and lending that sets the stage for some of our latest enhancements. From there, we'll jump into a demo to see all the latest and greatest from our product team, Nike. We'll also save some time at the end to answer any questions you might have. So let's jump right in. Before we get into those solutions, I want to pause and talk about some of the realities of underwriting small business loans because it's a uniquely complex and often underestimated challenge. When you evaluate a small business, you're not just assessing income or credit scores. We're looking at a dynamic operation from multiple bank accounts, inconsistent transaction patterns, maybe even overlapping personal and business finances, or seasonal or unpredictable cash flow. Each book of business tells a different story, but that story isn't always clear from the start. One of the biggest challenges we hear from underwriters is a lack of immediate visibility. There's often no single place to get a holistic understanding of the borrower's health. Instead, teams are often toggling between documents, dashboards, exports, just to answer a few basic questions like what's the average balance? Have they repaid prior loans? Where's most of their revenue coming from? These are all pretty fundamental questions, but getting to those answers can take time, and that time definitely adds up, especially when you're working in a high volume workflow or a competitive lending environment. Another persistent gap we've seen in small business lending is getting to that industry context. You don't just want to know how much a business earns, you want to know what kind of business it is, because a restaurant with, say, like 40K in deposits operates very differently than a software reseller with the same inflows. But understanding a borrower's industry provides critical framing for interpreting that cash flow, assessing them for risk, even tailoring underwriting models. So today, you're often left guessing. You might rely on business names, you could be searching the web or using internal notes to deduce that industry. And even then, the information may be missing, it could be inconsistent, it could be unclear. And once you do know that industry, there's still the question of comparison. How do they stack up against their peers? Are they under earning? Are they overspending? Are they highly concentrated in a single vendor? So without normalized industry classification, it's hard to even get towards benchmarking their performance or building decision logic that adjusts for risk by vertical. All of this leads to a very simple but powerful insight that you need more than just raw data. You need interpretable, contextual insights. That way you're acting with confidence. So that's the lens that we've been using in our work, and it's the foundation of what we're going to talk through next. So now that we've talked through those challenges, let's dive right into what's new in the Ocrolus dashboard that is addressing those up front. The first is something we're super excited about. It's the book overview page. This is now the default landing page where you can view on any book. It gives you a clean, centralized snapshot of your borrower's financial health right up front. It's the first thing you see, and you'll see key metrics like total loan proceeds and payments, average daily balance, their debt coverage ratio, any NSFs or overdraft counts. There's also some visual cards that summarize revenue and expense sources, top counterparties, fintech capital providers, everything that makes it easy to spot patterns or red flags without digging right in. Next up, another huge one is industry classification. Every book now includes a 4-digit NAICS code and business category, and that's available both in dashboard as well as available on our API. This will give you immediate context into what kind of business the borrower is, whether they're a restaurant, a contractor, e-commerce reseller. And because we know industry can impact a lot of your underwriting decisions, admin users can also override that classification if they have better intelligence and revert back to the default at any time. And then finally, another big update to our dashboard is the account tab. So that account summary tab you're familiar with has been upgraded with richer financial analysis and monthly trends. You'll find things like month-over-month revenue, deposits, expenses, top five counterparties by transaction value, a redesigned cash flow widget, and full visibility into banking behavior like any negative balances or large withdrawals. So all of these changes are designed to help you make smarter, faster decisions without leaving our dashboard. But I know these screenshots are pretty small. That's why Nike's here today. She's going to give us a full walkthrough of the dashboards and all of these new features and enhancements.
So just as a refresher for folks who may not have seen our dashboard in a while, or maybe if you're newer here, the Ocrolus dashboard is where you can go to see all of the documents and applications you've sent us. Everything that I show you here can be done via API. Everything is totally accessible via API or dashboard, but obviously for the purpose of our demo today, dashboard is just easier to view and more fun. So if you are in our dashboard, what you'll see is a list of applications or books, as we call them, same thing. So now you'll notice when you open up a book, if you click on the link, you are now redirected to this new overview page that Craig was referencing before. Why do we do that? Well, previously we directed you to the uploads page, which is great, and it's good to know which documents you have uploaded, but we thought we could deliver even more value when you first open up the book. So we want you to be able to see the most critical, high-level insights on a book that we can offer you without having to go search anywhere. So a couple of things Craig mentioned that I'll dig into a little further. We call out position count. So for any small business application, we give you this page and we show you how many different alternative loan sources we found on the bank statement for this particular merchant. So we differentiate between loans and merchant cash advances, but we call them all out as total positions. We tell you exactly what we found and we name it if we can, but we'll still be able to say this is like a recurring payment from a debt source that we want you to know about. We also give you the total payments to and proceeds from lenders, the average daily balance, the debt coverage ratio, and we tell you if we found any non-sufficient funds fees or overdrafts. And then, of course, when you're underwriting a merchant or small business, you want to know what their revenue picture looks like and their expense picture looks like. This is a representation of the revenue and expenses for the whole application you've submitted. And we tell you what is happening in terms of the counterparties that the merchant is transacting with. Now, really, what I'm really excited about is the fact that, as Craig mentioned, we provide industry now. So for every merchant where we are able to provide industry, we do so. And we do that by providing the North American Industry Classification System code, the NAICS code, as you may know. We return a 4-digit NAICS code as well as the category of the business. Now, you may be asking, why is it 4-digit? Why is it not 2? Or why is it not 6? And we felt talking to our customers, 4 digits really kind of the sweet spot. 6 is really, really, really granular. There's like 1,000 6-digit NAICS codes. Excuse me, there's a lot, and 2 digits is too broad. 4 is kind of the sweet spot. It's enough granularity. There's about 300, but it's not so overwhelming. And the nice thing here is that you can always override our classification. So if you disagree with how we classified the business or what we believe the NAICS code is, you can always change it to whatever you want. We'll save it. Anytime we see this merchant coming in the future, we will give you the new updated NAICS code. You can also reset it as many times as you want, so you have total flexibility. And one reason I really like this is you all probably know here that there is no perfect source of industry data for every single merchant. That would be lovely if there were, but it's imperfect. We have really phenomenal coverage with our industry product. We're seeing about 85% coverage, which is industry leading. But, there's always sole proprietors, businesses with no web presence, like it's nothing but like a person's name, and you may not know what that merchant does just based on whatever you can find on the web about them. But let's say you're an underwriter, you happen to call up that merchant and say, hey, Craig, what do you do? And Craig says, I run a hardware store. That's great. You can save that in here for future reference. We will always maintain that for you anytime Craig's hardware store comes into our system. So I'm just going to pause there. That's industry and overview.
One question I do see coming in is where is that NAICS code coming from? And another one is that going to be available on all previous books or just new books moving forward?
Great question. Yeah. So the industry data is available for all of our prior books for our SMB customers. So we actually did a really massive backfill of millions and millions of merchants we've seen. And so, yes, you can run this again. One thing I should point out is not only is this available in our dashboard, it's also available in our analytics. So you may recall we have a few different analytics endpoints. Book summary endpoint is the one that you get all of your different metrics from, including your revenue and your total loan proceeds, et cetera. All this information on the page comes from our book summary endpoint. Industry is now in there too. So available dashboard and API. And secondly, your question of where is this data coming from? It's a great question. We partnered with Middesk. We're super proud of our partnership. We believe they're best in class in terms of industry data and other KYB and firmographic data. We love them. We're super excited. And I do just want to give you a quick insight into how we arrived at that partnership is that we did really extensive testing using different large language models, including Perplexity, including Gemini, and we hand reviewed the results, and we also compared it to a customer shared data with us so that we could do that analysis based on their labeling as well. And Middesk came out ahead in terms of both just their coverage, in terms of their merchant coverage and number of merchants that they're able to identify industry for. And they came out ahead in terms of accuracy and precision. So we did a lot of extensive testing, and that's where we landed.
Excellent. We do have a question here, but I will save it until the end. It is a really good one that we can explore a little bit further.
Okay, I can't wait. All right. And then as Craig mentioned, we've also done a bit of a revamp to our account summary page. Now, for those of you who, again, may be less familiar with this page, this is a really exciting view of sort of a deeper dive into analytics. If you think of our overview page as like the high level, very quick flyby of what's going on with this merchant, the accounts page is the sort of medium dive into what's going on with all the accounts this merchant submitted. Here's the accounts they provided. Here's every statement period they provided. Here's the, average daily balance, the transaction size, the negative days, withdrawals. We plot out revenue and expenses graphically and in a tabular fashion over time, so you can actually see how we differentiate between revenue dollar value and revenue counts, as well as non-revenue related deposits. I think that's a very key thing that our customers are constantly asking about. Like they're trying to determine when they're looking at a merchant, like which deposits are revenue and which ones are not. We do that for you. And we also put that here so you can really clearly see what's revenue and what's not. Same with expenses and withdrawals. Something we called out a bit earlier, but something I'm excited about is the fact that we call out the counterparties with whom the merchant does business. So if you are wondering, who does this merchant do business with? Where do they get their revenue from? Where do they spend their cash? We call that out here in our counterparty widgets on the side. Now, again, all this stuff is available via API. It's also available in our Excel download, but now it's just even easier to access. And we'll also just tell you the average revenue, the average expenses, average daily balance for this whole application. And again, here's this industry widget. It will be exactly the same here as it is on the overview page. So if you override something here, it will also override on the overview page. Let me just pause there.
One good question that's come up is, can I customize what shows up in this book overview page?
Yeah, now you're sort of reading ahead into my roadmap, which I love, and that's the plan. So today this is sort of the custom view, excuse me, the not custom view. This is the broad view that every SMB customer gets with Ocrolus. It's the basic widgets right off the bat are the debt sources, revenue, expenses, industry, accounts, etc. But in the future, we do want to make this flexible. So you can choose which things that you see here. And that's kind of why we made it modular. We call these little boxes, I guess, widgets. And so the whole idea is in the future, we'll put more and more data on here for you to be able to add, remove, etc.
Awesome. I personally love how clean it looks. As an underwriter or a credit analyst looking at an application or the overall book, what information should they look at first? Is it more linear going through the overview page, or are there some key insights that should really kind of guide them as they review that book overview?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And really, it's like I should turn this back onto our clients because everything we build is really informed by our clients. And I would never presume to tell our clients where they should start in terms of underwriting. But part of why we built this way is because of what our clients have told us matters to them. So just keep in mind, again, these are sort of the high level. If you go to our API or if you go to our cash flow data dictionary, we have 500 plus different cash flow analytics. And that has been built over the course of 10 years of working with the majority of funders and lenders in the SMB industry, telling us these are the metrics we use. Can Ocrolus build this out? So we have all kinds of things from different ability to tell you, for example, if someone's loan was paid off to, is there a missing bank account that this person didn't submit to what does their expense look like in a given 3-month range. So we have so much that's available. And we can always make sure to send out the cash flow analytics guide after this as well. But when you look at this page, this is really centered around what our customers tell us are some of the high level things they first look at. So, what's the revenue of this business? And what does their debt capacity look like? Because when you're underwriting, what you're really trying to do is figure out like how much leverage can this business take on? Can they support the debt that they're asking me for? And like what's my ability to get paid back here? So you want to know, are there other loans ahead of you? And you want to know, does the revenue support and expenses support the overall leverage that this business has? So that's why these are some of the very high level data points that we pull out first.
Excellent.
And of course, average daily balance, because what's cash in the bank, right? That really matters.
Exactly. So one of these really good questions is what type of model is being used to categorize transactions?
That's so great. So what we and if you've seen this before and you're familiar with this, I apologize if this is repetitive, but if you're seeing this for the first time, I'm always excited to talk about the way that we tag transactions. So I'll be quick, but we have over the past 10 plus years, we've analyzed over 500 million pages of bank statements. And because we work with the vast majority of the small business lending and funding industry, we have gotten really good at processing these bank statements and determining what a transaction description really means in the context of a small business application for credit. So we will look at, for example, we'll tear up a bank statement, parse all the transactions with 99% plus accuracy, and we will say, okay, this description here is actually saying this is an overdraft, this is a returned item. We'll tell you, does it contribute to revenue? Is it a debt payment or proceed? Is it an expense? We've gotten really good at that through a combination of large language models and review from our customers. And as Craig knows, we get lots and lots of customer feedback on these tags. So we are constantly using our product judgment, our customer feedback, and large language models to enhance and refine these tags. And so that's kind of how we keep them relevant. Behind every single one of these tags is thousands and thousands of terms or little snippets of descriptions from these bank statement transactions that correlate to a tag or a label. And so we've just gotten really good at combing through millions and millions of those every single day and determining what they really mean.
This looks great. And I think it's always a good refresher on all of the information that's available within our dashboard. I like how you went from it's almost the high, medium, more detailed. It's a good way to think through the overview, then the accounts, and then the transactions to get more and more granular.
Yes, and I will save this for a future product pulse, but if you ever want to dig really deep into our tags, just keep in mind we have that ability to do that in our tag management page in the dashboard. You can look at all of the out of the box tags we give you. We call them Ocrolus system tags. That just means out of the box. You get 50 of them to start, but you can edit them, you can add to them, and you can also add your own custom tags.
This was a great overview, Nike. I'm really excited about the overview page. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We do these product pulses every month, so be on the lookout for the next one coming in August. We would love to have you. And if you have any questions between now and then, definitely feel free to reach out, provide feedback, and one other thing, Nike.
And I will leave you with a teaser. Yes, actually, thanks for kind of giving me one more second before you go, because you teased it in your presentation. So one thing I'm super excited about with industry is the fact that we are going to be able to give you so many more industry specific calculations and data points going forward. This is just the beginning, and we've got a lot of stuff we're already working on, but you can get really pumped because we are also releasing benchmarking APIs tomorrow, and you will see more coming out in our dashboard related to benchmarking. But what I mean by that is you will very shortly be able to see how a merchant in a given industry stacks up against other merchants that Ocrolus has seen in that same industry and same time frame for revenue, for fintech debt inflows and outflows, and for expenses. So we're bringing so much more customized insights to you. We're going to be delivering that by API tomorrow, and we are going to also be putting this in the dashboard very shortly. So stay tuned.
Yeah. A great topic for an upcoming product pulse as well.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you, Nike. Thank you, everyone.